Good morning, afternoon, evening, wherever, however you are joining us. This is the I Speak Jeep podcast presented by SFJ4x4.com. I had to think about that because all things are all twisted up in our world. If you are joining us, whether you are live or in your ear holes, we thank you for prioritizing this podcast as part of your infotainment. And dose, you know what? We're in the middle of a snowpocalypse at the moment here along the Great Lakes region, the eastern Midwest.
Oh, here, let me turn that off for a second.
Turn what off?
The snowpocalypse.
Oh, well, we actually had a snowpocalypse on the screen.
Yeah.
You turned it down. I see a little bit of flurry.
Yeah, well, there's
a little bit of
flurry.
But no, in the real world, we are actually inundated with the word on the street is 48 to 56 inches of accumulation. Non-official because nobody actually cares about the shoreline of Ohio. And our official weather reporting is actually from about 35 minutes south of us where there's no snow. So very challenging to have an accurate number here. But Erie, Pennsylvania is buried under, a gajillion inches.
Yeah, but the airport's only like 27.
See, this is the quirky thing where we get our official weather reporting.
Yeah.
It's bupkis,
Yeah.
right? So my name is Neil with SFJ4x4.com, Simpson Family Jeeps, and I am sitting where the mad scientist usually sits. And the mad scientist is joining us remotely because, honestly, he had a bang-up weekend, and we're all trying to unbury ourselves. Now, producer, you are?
I am Jeff, and I am here trying to make sure that we can still be here for a podcast for our listeners.
Yes, and we thank you sincerely. You and I talked over the weekend. First of all, you and I, we managed to, along with our lead performance mechanic, we came in on Saturday, following the holiday weekend. We got some work done. We had some customers confirm service appointments. They were from outside the area, and they confirmed that ensure that they could come in. And so, hey, we showed up as well, which was remarkable. That was right before the Tier 3 state of emergency.
Yeah, we were here when it
was declared.
Yeah.
Right. So, pretty quirky situation. And what's going to happen is we're going to get, sort of, right into our topic at hand today, which is
the art of decorating Jeeps. And this is a topic that we lined up to go in line with the Jeep parade that got postponed due to this storm.
Yes.
So we're going to talk a little bit about that, and we'll probably share a few stories of decorating in the snowstorms that we've done this in
absolutely.
the past. But we're not going to spend as much time on it as usual. Look at that. The Savage this is your script. For the Jeepmas song. The 12 Days of
a
Jeepmas.
paper snowball was just thrown into the studio,
Yeah.
and unfortunately, it was first tossed to Jeffrey, and now it's probably going to be passed on to me eventually.
Yeah.
But we are going to get into our topic at hand, but we're going to cut it a little short. We might only talk about decorating for 20, 30 minutes at most, because I know there's a number of people want to hear about what our experience has been. There's been a lot of updates from the holiday weekend, and just in general with the kind of the chaos of of the snowmageddon.
Well, that, and then once we get through some of those updates, I mean, this is a big episode. Then we have the 12 Days of Jeepmas starting. So we'll do a quick little transition piece into the 12 Days of Christmas, and Neil will be singing the yet to be seen lyrics. Fun fact: AI helped us this year, so we're gonna see how that plays out.
It's both our blessing and our curse, if you will.
Yeah. So we're gonna play.
Scott, can you hear us?
I can.
Oh, do you want to say good morning to the folks out there?
Well, you introduced me for them, so I was just being a good boy and being quiet.
Yeah. No, you sound
if I wanted
good.
you to be quiet, I would have muted you.
Right. I was going to say, that's the producer's job. And we are sipping on a fun taste test. Scott is not. But Jeffrey and I, we'll talk about that later. What do you got?
Lemonade.
For breakfast? In the middle of a snowstorm?
He has lemonade. Is it so you feel like you're warm?
I mean, when life hands you lemons, you're making lemonade, man. I can't wait to talk about that.
Right?
Because Scott had some of the biggest lemons this weekend.
Oh, he did.
Oh my gracious. So what's we got some comments coming in, right?
Yeah, we've got some comments. We got Giaga Jeepers first saying good morning.
Good morning.
Joe O'Brien, good morning. Darla, good morning. And Joelle sending lots of positive vibes.
Good morning to everybody, and those positive vibes are obviously appreciated. So we're gonna continue to sip away, and like Jeffrey said, it is a big episode for us. So hang in there. There's a lot of twists and turns, and I will mention. I suppose I'm gonna get it right out of the way.
There it goes.
For Jeffrey. I can't believe Jeffrey didn't say anything.
There's literally no reason. I got boots and my socks do not get wet, so
I've
I don't know
got
what this bag thing is.
Crocs socks and double bagged on Walmart grocery bags, folks. Lee, that's for you, just so you know.
How many uses out of your bags are you getting? Are you a one-time out bag per time?
So because I'm stingy in life, right? If you didn't know, now you know. But most people, I think, are aware of my frugalities. I am see how many times I can make them go until they're like soaking wet themselves or they've got holes in them. So I'm really pushing my free Walmart bag sock wrapping to the limit.
Well, you should with the Walmart bags because they all have holes in them usually. So you get that one or two without holes.
Yeah, but I feel like
Harbor Freight bags are worse than Walmart bags, just so you know.
I was going to say Harbor Freight, Dollar Store, Dollar General. I feel like they're trying to save money on the bag by having extra little holes in it. It's like when the burger happened. There was a couple burgers. I think it was White Castle had little holes in their burger, and they were saving space. They actually got flamed.
Yeah.
And they had to go back. Yeah.
All I know is that you started the social media post about what kind of bags are you on your feet.
Yes.
And I looked at Kristen. I'm like, what are they talking about bags on their feet for? And she's like, oh yeah, that's how you keep your feet dry. I'm like, my feet have never gotten wet in the snow. What are you doing?
We're going to talk about that later, folks. We're going to talk about my technique, and Scott and I will be team bag foot, whatever.
I'm team just wear proper boots.
Yeah.
We'll talk about that. We will talk about it. But let's get into decorating in case you don't care about our shenanigans in the process.
Yeah.
But really, I think most people are here for our gobbledygook shenanigans. But I am, I think it's appropriate that we get into the art of decorating, kind of keep it streamlined, and then we'll transition from there.
Yeah. So the art of decorating, what
was supposed to be for parading specifically.
Well, the plus side is we delayed our parade, so you could still use this information for that.
Correct. And I think what's unique about our Jeep community, I think we see it a lot in Jeeps and a little bit in motorcycles.
Yes.
We don't see it. Oftentimes I make comparisons of our community as kind of a devoted brand being Corvettes, motorcycles, specifically the Harley community, and then Jeeps, right? So it's brand identity and how people kind of feel and then socialize and then utilize their vehicles. The thing is,
one of those three is cool. The other two are not.
Correct. There's only one cool one, which are the Jeep community. You would have to wear, a pastel polo, some old, well, not new. They actually need to be not old. They need to be new, white New Balances with high socks, white, to be in the Corvette community. And the Corvette folks don't decorate, right? Short shorts. I'm here for the short shorts. Don't get me wrong, but not that kind of style. But they don't decorate their vehicles like we do, right? And I think that's what's unique about Jeep owners and Jeeps is we decorate our Jeeps almost like you decorate your house sometimes, right?
That's fair.
Yeah, I mean, it's fascinating because I know a number of folks who decorate their Jeeps now for Halloween.
Yeah.
And so while this is the art of decorating and it's airing in our relative 3-part series of leading up to our Christmas and other holiday break from work and podcasting and so on and so forth, the art of decorating our Jeeps actually kind of extends beyond just the Christmas season.
Yeah.
So
I think it's like your modifications of your Jeep. It's your individuality that makes it kind of special.
Absolutely. Each Jeep, and that's what I was saying about Jeep owners, Jeeps and Jeep owners are a reflection of each other, right? You outfit and decorate your Jeep as, as you do yourself and vice versa. So we've talked in the past about this subject a little bit.
Yeah, we've talked about some of the things that you need to do to be able to decorate your Jeep, and I think it's important to bring that up again because nobody wants to blow fuses in a Jeep trying to put lights on. What are you doing over there?
Well, you know what? I just wanted to take off my woolly mammoth hat, right?
And then you forgot how to use headphones.
And then I broke my headphones.
You didn't break them. You just forgot how to use them.
No, they flipped around on me. So I have the signature hat, right? And so folks who are listening at home and you're listening, you can't see me. I have this beautiful hat that I adore. And if you've watched any of the old podcasts when we were just kind of in the cavernous space of the shop, we're in this back corner, which the heat does not, radiate well to. I used to be able to wear this hat.
Yeah.
And, there's actually a number of people who kind of recognize the hat. Now, I love my hat, and I thought, for the first big snow of the season, I'd wear it. Woo! This studio, thanks to our listeners, is so nice. It is so warm. I was getting a little warm, and then I got a little
honestly
panicky.
Debating taking the hat off too because it's warm in here.
It is warm in here. I got panicky, and I was like, "Well, can't wear the hat." So, all right. Then I broke the headphones in the process. All right, we're back again. Shady's back. All right,
boy.
so
You went there.
Yep, I did.
Man, your bags are so noisy over there.
They are good bags. They're good bags under the Crocs.
If you didn't wear Crocs in the snow, you wouldn't need bags.
You don't think?
No. So anyways, with decorating a Jeep, what is the number one tool that you need to start decorating?
A good
A
attitude.
power inverter.
I'm with Scott because he actually answered the question.
Oh, my bad. Oh,
But
yeah,
a good attitude is still there, especially if it's snowing out when you're trying to decorate.
right. So I can't agree more with your guys' sentiment that a good power inverter. Now, interestingly enough, and we'll just break it down on a technical level. A power inverter is going to take the DC or direct current produced by your 12-volt battery and is going to change it appropriately to your standard, what we generically call 110 household AC, alternating current. And my number one recommendation for you is somewhere between a 400 to 600 peak wattage inverter. And that's going to typically run the bulk of your standard Christmas lights or Halloween lights or something along those lines.
PA system with the lights.
I don't think that one's going to do it.
Oh, you're right. I had 1,000 watt.
I was going to say, I think, and this is what
your blow up decorations in the bed or on top of the Jeep.
Yep.
Right. And so for the average person decorating, I think you want to look around the 400 to 600 peak watt range.
Yep.
And then you're going to want to direct wire or clip it to your battery. You're typically speaking your 12-volt inverters that plug into your cigarette lighter, or now we call your power supply. It's 12-volt power supply, and we don't think of them as cigarette lighters anymore. Really are meant for your laptop.
One string of lights.
One string of lights.
Yeah.
LED lights at that. Those inverters are typically going to be in the 200 to 400 watt peak watt range.
So what you're saying is that you don't just change that 15 amp fuse to like a 30 amp fuse and
you
run away
should
with
not be just changing fuses.
Oh.
Wrap it in aluminum foil and stick it back in.
Wow, it sounds like you have experience with that.
Or you just are cool and you have a Rubicon, and then you have this power inverter in the center console.
Listen, you can have an aux electrical package without having a Rubicon. I hear a Rubicon snob is amongst us, apparently.
Yeah, well, there's two, because in the comments, Giaga Jeepers said his JK and JT have inverters built into them. Yep. So those two are in a club together that we're not in.
That's
so
right.
when you're ordering your Jeep, you have to think about parades while you check the boxes.
Right. Can I? And my dad was so disappointed because he loves the parades, and he bought that Overland JT recently. And I was like, oh yeah, you might have that 12-volt power supply in the bed. And he was like, what? He got so excited, And we ran back there and we looked and we're like, oh, wah, wah, wah.
Yeah,
not there.
It can be
But
added.
does they have it in the console?
You know what? I didn't look in the console. I was focused on the bed because he, like many JT owners, he has a tonneau and he wanted to put an inflatable on the tonneau, and I was like, how easy would that be? As if we just had the bed package.
So what I do on my JT, because I don't have the inverter in the glove box or the center console, thanks Scott. But I take an extension cord, plug it into the inverter that's tucked in the engine compartment next to the battery, run that power cord down along the side rail, and then right up in between the bed, drop it down into the bed of the truck under the cover, and then that way nobody sees that power cord at all, but I can light up everything from there.
Where are you running it? So it's in the engine bay.
So I run it out the cowl,
Okay.
straight down to the side rail
Oh.
for the step,
okay.
and run it right along there.
Right
and I
along
zip
the
tie-
rocker panel
Oh,
of sorts.
Yep, and I zip tie it underneath that rocker panel there so that it's...
I see. So it's kind of tucked away. Other than the cord exiting the cowl itself, you really don't see it to get back to the back and then up the bed seam itself.
And if you use a black
you have a
extension
blue
cord, not like a
cord.
neon green or something.
See, Scott's recommending a blue cord,
Well,
and
you have a
that
blue
would
Jeep.
work in Jeffrey's situation.
yeah, but I just use the black because at night when everything's dark and you're using the lights, nobody's going to see that power cord anyways.
Right. Yeah, I personally, and we should, I want to finish up that little bit of that conversation on the inverters. At that wattage range, your 200 to 400 inverter should typically cost you $20 to $40, and ultimately your 400 to 600 it typically runs you $40 to $60. I think it's a great tool to have in your toolbox. Regardless, I actually am utilizing my power inverter. A number of people know my house build that's been going on for a couple of years at this point. I actually use a deep cell battery and string lights and my inverter, and that's how I do electricity on our site. And so it has purposes other than decorating your Jeep.
Oh, yeah.
But obviously decorating the Jeep is kind of a big priority, especially, for our parades or, that Halloween to Christmas season.
So now that we know how to get power to the lights, how do you keep the lights on the vehicle
Yeah.
safely?
Zippy
Zip
ties.
Okay. What about the people that have the lights all over the hood and the sides and hanging down everywhere? What do you do there?
Yeah, and I recently saw a pretty fun, short video on an individual doing that, and they specifically purchased an LED product that has little sticky pads on each and every light. It was pretty remarkable. This individual, and I mean, they meticulously spaced them out, and it had, so said the video, a 3M approved vehicle adhesive on the sticky, right? Because if you were talking about decorating, and I'll be honest with you, you could probably get some product out of like Command.
Yep. That's Joe O'Brien says Command strips in the comments.
Oh, okay.
Also, I missed Gene saying Happy Hunting Day.
Absolutely. It's a first day of rifle season for Pennsylvania, Ohio for sure.
Yeah.
So happy hunting for all those individuals out there.
What I was going to say is, that, I've seen people using masking tape. Masking tape tends to slide off if it gets wet with the snow. I personally use gaffer's tape, which is if you're in theater at
More
all.
in the theater audio industry.
That is something that's very commonly used to hide wires out of the way. Gaffer's tape doesn't leave any adhesive, and it works much like duct tape with the strength of it, but without the adhesive left behind. So it doesn't damage the paint, doesn't do any long-term effects.
Sure. And I think that, ultimately if we're talking about kind of upping our decorating game, you are looking to utilize some of these products that you really can't see.
Well,
right?
and there's alien tape is the other one that a lot of people are using nowadays.
Yes.
And I have no experience with alien tape. Have you used it before?
I have not.
Yeah. See, Scott?
Nope.
No. See, I'm not familiar with alien tape. I have seen a lot of recommendations to use it.
Sure.
So I'm kind of curious and think that maybe we should
Test it out.
Yeah.
Test it out a little bit. Yeah. I mean, the thing is, if you are going to be traveling, right, and this is the season, and unfortunately, I was so consumed with our own Snowmageddon, I really didn't even get to see how the Andover Christmas parade went. But ultimately, across the nation, there are multiple parades and functions and toy drives and Jeep clubs that are, that are doing multiple events. So you may find yourself wanting to decorate in such a way that you can, attend multiple events, right? So ultimately our event is a one night, and many people come in and they just do whatever's necessary for the next, 3 to 4 hours of decoration. But I do know a number of people, and who decorate for the season, and then they want to attend multiple events. And I'm not talking just the little Rudolph nose and antlers that you stick on your windows, but the idea that I don't want to just use masking tape or painter's tape of sorts, because I want to be able to attend this function on Friday night, a toy drive Saturday morning, and then another parade on Saturday night.
And you don't want to have to reset those lights every single time. You just want to be able to drive with them on. And you can't just leave them loose, because then they swing and smack the side of the vehicle and cause damage that way.
Right. And I do want to take a moment and note the fact that I have factually had experience with customers and acquaintances of the business being pulled over in certain areas by our law enforcement for having their Christmas lights on during normal travel.
Yep.
So I do want, folks to be conscientious. One person literally just had their spare tire, which we didn't even get to the spare tire because I think that's one of the cool things about Jeeps is we have this really iconic, rear spare tire.
Oh, yeah.
And a couple other platforms have it, but the Jeep community has a stronghold on it. And they just had it wrapped like a wreath with lights. And they had that was all that was on. And they were pulled over for their tire being illuminated, their spare tire. And I just thought, what an incredibly trivial thing to... to pull somebody over.
What
for.
color was it lit?
And that's a good question. And
because if it was the blue variety, I could understand a little bit.
Right.
A little bit.
Right.
Especially if they had it on blue flashing.
I genuinely don't think it was.
Yeah, it's probably a multicolor Christmas light.
Yeah, I really think it was a multicolor or even a white, which you would
just
think would
go
be
with the red.
permissible.
Yeah.
Go with the red string, and then you're legal.
I suppose, right? It's like a marker light at that point, So there are a number of things that, at hand here as far as your adhesive. There's some cool, LED strips. Now, a fun thing about a lot of your LED strips online, they're actually 12 volt already.
Yep. Some of them are USB.
Correct. Some of them are USB. So if you don't have the lights that you want to decorate with, it may behoove you to do a little bit of research and find the product and invest in that first and foremost. Now, I certainly know that with some of these and the reel that I watched, once that individual used his little LED strips, the way that he had and the adhesive that he put on there, they were pretty much a one and done thing. Now, it looked pretty remarkable, and he literally spent like 6 hours doing it.
But it's good for the season, and that's it.
But it was good for the season, and that was kind of it. So, invest wisely as you see fit. The other piece is, if you are going to decorate on your Jeep, you have to understand that it is subject to damage. And so if you're like, hey, I have this expensive pack of globe balls that are 8 inches in diameter, and I'm going to hang them off my Jeep because they look really cool, and then I'm not going to let them run. I'll just turn them on for special events. A shopping cart and cold brittle stuff at the shopping centers or grocery store. A little fender bender in a parking lot, and somebody walking by,
somebody doing donuts,
donuts in the parking lot, and just kind of taps you. So if you're robbing Peter to pay Paul, and you're taking your wife's favorite decoration and you're throwing it on your Jeep, you have now kind of subjected yourself to property loss in the process. Additionally, I mean, some Rudolph the Red-Nosed Reindeer noses and some wreaths I've seen, not appropriately affixed to the vehicle, and you're heading down the highway and they're gone.
Yep.
So, the big thing about, I think, decorating and decorating well is take your time, put some effort into it. And, there are, again, buy a product that is kind of purpose built.
Your wife just jumped on.
Oh, did she?
Yeah.
Oh, there she is. The one, the myth, the legend, Jennifer Lynn Simpson. This will be fun, folks. If you are one of our first-time listeners, you may or may not be aware that my wife is kind of the ultimate chaos coordinator. So it's always an interesting situation when she gets involved. Additionally, if you are listening in your ear holes at a future date, recognize that you can jump on for, any live, and we are almost every Sunday, unless noted, 10:19 a.m. on Facebook and the YouTube. So anyways, what happens if you want to make your own decoration?
Well, you can absolutely make your own decoration. We've seen it even in our parades where people have come in with house-like fixtures built onto their vehicle.
Yes.
It's really cool and fun, and people have done it with trailers. They'll build up almost a float that they're pulling behind their Jeep.
Yep.
For the parades.
Yep. We've seen that. I thought that was really cool. I know that a few years ago, and we did talk about this on air, it was like I think the theme was a Hallmark Christmas.
Yes.
And the one that really sticks out to me was a JT, and they took basically like poles and had them somehow affixed to the bed rails of the truck. And I don't exactly remember how they did that, but then they strung these nice, almost Christmas card looking, pictures. And I thought that was really cool because, they obviously put a lot of effort into representing both kind of the theme of the parade, but then making themselves stand out as like a really kind of classy, display of, kind of festive spirit.
Yeah.
Right. Additionally, I know that is really popular online, and I'm gonna jump wildly over to Halloween, but really popular online is making your spare tire spin.
Yep.
And there's a number of hacks to do that, and how you can make it spin and spin naturally or have a little motor on it. I do know there's an individual in Western Pennsylvania who has skeletons, and he'll decorate with like 5 or 6 skeletons that he zip ties all in place. And I mean, it's wild. It's like an exo cage of skeletons trying to get into his Jeep.
Yeah. And
he has his rear wheel will spin as well. And so the skeleton will like spin over in the process. Pretty gnarly stuff there. And I think what we haven't mentioned yet, and we've talked about the Jeeps being a reflection of the owner, but I think the really, really cool thing about decorating our vehicles is how happy other people are when they see our Jeeps decorated.
Oh, yeah. Absolutely.
And that is a really interesting, a remarkable thing.
And it doesn't even have to be someone who's even remotely interested in Jeeps. Just
No.
seeing a Jeep all lit up and decorated for whether it be Halloween or be Christmas, you just see all the reactions and people loving it and getting joy out of seeing it.
And as we have done, a number of parades ourselves, you always hear people, especially when we're with a bunch of a mixed company of Jeeps, we'll hear people pointing out different decorations, different little characteristics of the, of the decorations themselves.
Yeah.
Right.
Real quick. Good morning, Roy. I see you just logged in.
Yeah. So we have all of this. Now, one of the things, as far as decorating is concerned, and we haven't really touched on it, is one of my favorite pieces for specifically parades are bubbles.
Bubbles. Yeah.
Bubbles. Anytime you can kind of make your experience or the viewer's experience kind of larger than life, if you will.
Well, there was a 4th of July parade that had bubbles from your sister's Jeep, and your other sister had to keep jumping out every 30 seconds to keep the machines refilled, and it was quite the entertaining scene. I was right behind him in the lineup.
Had to keep filling it up because it was running through bubbles so fast.
It was. Yep.
You know what?
They had all the bubble machines on that Jeep.
You know what? We picked up a foam cannon some time ago. I think my wife picked it up, and I was really looking forward to putting it into use in the near future. I think that would be kind of fun, just to kind of, again, give it a little bit of a again, a little bit of a larger than life, because oftentimes, a lot of people see our Jeeps with the accessory lights, with the big bumpers, with the winches, with the oversized tires and the rails. I mean, that's larger than life. People, they're like, "Oh, are you really going to use it?" I'm like, "Well, yeah. I mean, I'm intending to. I'm going to use about as much as I use the bubble machine too. You know what I mean? Like, I'm here to have this vehicle be a reflection of the fun or the engagement that I kind of want in the world. Now, with that said, Scott, what are some of your favorite decorating?
Hold on. Before Scott talks,
Okay.
Daddy Jeep just logged in and goes, "I'm late. Were the grocery bags addressed already?" Oh, and good morning. We'll get to it later, Rob.
Rob, just so you're aware, I am Croc socks and double grocery bagged on my feet currently.
Boots that don't need bags in them.
But we will keep moving on that.
Go ahead,
for all of
Scott.
you.
What did you got for decorating?
Yeah, Scott, we really want to hear about your decorating tips and tricks.
So I think the biggest thing when you're doing a decoration on your Jeep is just like anytime you do any mod is you need to make sure you have a concise
Oh my God, I love it. Whether he's here or whether he's home, he still can't speech good.
Right.
So you need to have a theme that goes from one to the other, so it looks like it was all thought out. Not that, oh, I have these lights, and oh, I zip tied this here, and oh, wait a minute, I have a wreath over here. Like, think about it and style it out. And I'm going to let something out of the bag. I was planning on the best decorations for this parade, but I was thwarted because I couldn't find the decorations I wanted, so I had to pivot. I'm not going to tell you what I pivoted to, but since I couldn't find it, I was going to go all Thanksgiving. I was going to have a blow up.
Oh man!
I was going to do, Thanksgiving themed lights, and you can't buy in pre-Snowgeddon, Asheville County.
What's that?
Turkeys that blow up. You can get them online, but you cannot go in person and buy up a blow up turkey. And when you ask the retail workers if they have a turkey, they look at you weird for some reason. I don't know why.
Were you wearing your jerky sweatshirt?
Were you wearing your terrible jerky sweatshirt in the process?
I was.
So, there we go. Maybe they were awestruck at trying to figure you out.
I did get one compliment, just one on my sweatshirt.
I think it was probably a pity compliment.
I was gonna say because I got all the compliments on mine.
And
but,
folks, if you don't know what we're talking about, you're going to head over and check out our merch section. We've got two, awesome hoodies. Scott designed one with the Savage, and then we have our house seasonal hoodie, and you can get those still. Whether you want to wear your Thanksgiving jerky inspired hoodie through Christmas, that's your prerogative. It's 2024. We're not here to judge. But if you want any season wheeling in ugly hoodie sweatshirt design, you can have a zombie chasing a turkey, chasing a Jeep with a tree on it.
That's awesome.
I also should have commented on your hoodie as well, Jeffrey, which is
it's celebrating Christmas. One of my favorite Christmas movies.
Nope, that's not a Christmas movie.
It's the Gremlins. It's absolutely a Christmas movie.
Nope, that's awful.
It's the ugly sweater Gremlins.
Yep.
Yeah,
there it is.
Perfect. Your wife is also yelling at you, saying that's not what she bought that for. So,
Meh. So I was. Wait till she sees you crash into the Jeep on YouTube or on the shorts that Davey's putting together.
There's no video
now.
proof of that.
There is literally video proof, and it's running right now. Davey's working it out.
He literally said he didn't get.
Yeah,
that
he was
video.
trolling you. It's what Savage does. Remember that time we were talking about decorating Jeeps? So
I tried to redecorate your wife's Jeep today.
You did, unfortunately. So we have we've talked a little bit about the spare tire. Now, if you are an incredibly detail-oriented individual, you can wrap your rear spare tire like a green garland Christmas wreath.
Yep, absolutely.
I have a recommendation for that, though. You should use a cheap dollar store set of lights because you're excited when you wrap the tire. Mm-hmm. When it comes time to de-wrap the tire, the level of excitement goes way down. So when they're just a $3 string of lights, you can just get out the side cuts and make them go away. and do it again next year. That's what I
Yes.
recommend. And if
Do you have
go
personal
right after
experience in that?
Christmas, maybe. And
Right.
if
So
you
you're
go
kind of,
to the stores after Christmas, everything is marked like 50% off.
yes.
So you just tackle grandma, push her out of the way,
Yes.
grab those
Shove her
string
down.
lights, 50% off,
Yes.
and then you just burn those the year after. That's the best way.
I couldn't agree more with everything you said there. And I think that I can't help myself, but for our listeners at home, the word is unwrap. But Scott definitely wants to de-wrap his rear spare tire. But the word he was looking for was unwrap.
Unwrap, untangle, any of those would have worked.
Those would have been perfectly satisfactory. But I love it when when he gives us one of his vernacular
Scottisms.
Scottisms. Absolutely. So, I've seen some absolutely beautiful wreaths made out of their rear spare tires. I don't have the patience for that. I couldn't agree more with Scott. Use something that's absolutely disposable in the process, because your enthusiasm, A, will wane, and 2, if you actually need your spare tire in the Christmas season, if you have that,
that's a problem. That's
a problem. I mean, I might pay somebody to see them running down the road and just throw it onto their Jeep. Like, just, like the dad in the Christmas Story where he's just like trying to change his tire in 4 minutes. Just put the wreath on there and drive. Right? That actually might not be a bad idea. So
it's a terrible idea.
I think it's awesome. Awesome. So those are, kind of some of the accessory components, as far as spare tire, adhesives, inverter, power inverter, homemade, all of those kinds of things. Now,
running lights through the grill, but be careful for heat, making sure that you have your lights run appropriately so they're not melting on you.
Correct. Now, here's the thing. This is not the time. Snowmageddon or parade preparation or in a haphazard or hastily manner is not the time to try and do a quality install of color change or some other variation of rock lights or under lighting system, right? And we all too often see professionally people coming in and they got these lights, A, either anticipation of the holidays, or B, as a holiday present. And the thing is, it's cold, it's wet, your attention to detail just depreciates substantially when the weather is ick or the time is against you. And we see people just kind of just willy-nilly install these rock lights and run the wiring amongst, the Jeep. And I honestly can tell you, we have seen wires ran across drive shafts. We've seen wires ran across exhaust systems and melted. And honestly, not only are you throwing money away, and even if it's your cheapest Amazon set at a $50 to $100 and you're just completely throwing that away, but good quality rock lights can be $300, $400, $500, $600. Not only are you throwing that away, but it can be dangerous because in theory, if you got a little arky sparky there, wire shorting out, best case scenario, they just kind of burn up and nothing happens. Worst case scenario, you create a little electrical fire on your Jeep.
Yep.
And so with decorating, what's that?
Really, that's one of the things you really need to be careful with, whether you're doing rock lights or your Christmas lights, is you have to think about, am I overloading things? Am I running things improperly, Jeff? Am I
wow.
So,
did you hear that school bus come by, Jeffrey?
I did, and I'm still trying to figure out where it came from. I use the inverter right to the battery.
Yeah, and then you improperly run cords.
I think he's taken exception to your PA system and your blow up system.
I know he is.
Okay,
he might have had.
He's just jealous of how decorated my Jeep usually is.
Cord, not like fire is a problem, or he knows anything about fire. But anyway, so
first responder Jeff.
So when you're thinking about all that, you need to think about, like, am I making my Jeep going to be a marshmallow or not?
Right, and
And
not in the good way.
obviously, the amount of time that you're going to have these installed also needs to be part of that. As if you're doing something to go, on a parade circuit and then remove, well, you can get away with a little bit more loosey goosey. If you're going for the whole season, you need to plan that out a little better.
Yes.
So, and that, I think I will make a note on the inverters and kind of circle back there, because I do sincerely recommend a good quality alligator clips that go direct to battery. But you want to make sure,
or the ring terminals, even just
or the ring
bolt it right
terminals.
down.
But in that situation, you want to make sure that your risk exposure is minimal, in the sense that they're not going to contact, the hood specifically.
Yep.
Because you could create continuity between, the alligator clips and the hood. If you have a steel hood, that could be really, really bad.
There's a wheeling video of that happening with somebody's Jeep.
Oh, he's talking about Chuck. First of all, that was my tie down.
But I didn't run the bus right over you like
that's
Scott
fine.
did.
I will take that.
In the comments, Giaga Jeeper said the truth bus just ran Jeff over, and then Zach's in here going, woke up and chose violence. Yes, he did.
That's right, Zach. He did. Good morning. Scott's fired up, and you're going to want to hear why, folks. So give us a couple more minutes. We're going to wrap up the art of decorating, and then we're going to get into the shenanigans from this past weekend and our Thanksgiving. So as far as the art of decorating, we kind of, plan out your theme, your decorations, your longevity, put some forethought into it. Try not to do it in the most haphazard manner, if possible. I understand, much like Snowmageddon this weekend, sometimes while we had some fair warning, sometimes you can't totally predict what's going to happen for you in the future.
There's a lot of different projections out there. We did not have exactly fair warning.
Yeah. And so as far as your decorating is concerned, I think that there's a lot of fun to be had in the process. Now, I will throw a big shout out there to one of our good friends, the Angry Turtle, that if all else fails, as far as your decoration is concerned, and you are not exactly a lights, inverter, wreath making, whatever decorating individual, A, come as you are to have a good time, and B, mud and trail rash and other appropriate Jeep specific accoutrements is perfectly accepable. I think that
Jason was the most festive of everyone. He had a real tree in his Jeep. So there's that.
He is throwing everyone under the bus today.
Scott chose violence. And Jason's real tree was growing because he had so much mud in the Jeep that he was growing wildlife in the process. But God love him. He hasn't hardly missed a parade ever.
Right.
Shows up muddy, shows up banged up, and make sure that he represents accordingly.
Absolutely.
And I think that that's kind of the big takeaway, is that kind of come as you are and enjoy the Jeep life for what it has to offer. Over the top lights and TikTok worthy reels or whatever, or just mud on your Jeep and trail rash on your wheels. It's good either way.
Well, and John's asking if there's any Cyber Monday deals, because he's looking for some colored accents for his Jeep.
I don't think John is, but I think everybody has woke up feeling a little sassy post Thanksgiving. We're working off our turkey.
That's not the turkey; it's the snow.
It's the snow. Everybody's pent up a little bit in the process. So, folks, I think unless there's some other great insight on decorating of our Jeeps, we will kind of move on in life now.
I'm gonna do a little transition so that we can start our 12 days of Jeepmas. But as we lead up to that, we'll talk about Snowgeddon and kind of.
Do you want to talk about? You want to get right into it as opposed to our? I'm fine with that. So we can just talk about our delicious, snacky snacks today.
There it is. There's a teaser.
Wow, that is some quality production value there.
Did you see the Christmas lights on the
Yes, I
board.
see the Christmas lights. For our viewers at home, Jeffrey has some really wonderful, cheesy 6th grade animation lights bordering our
Hang on.
stream at the moment.
There's a snowstorm coming in. There it is.
Oh, and there's the snowstorm. God, if you didn't have enough hard time following us as it was, now your ADHD will be kicked into overdrive for all of our neurospicy individuals who are already having a hard time paying attention. Thank you, Jeff. Oh, my gosh.
Is that why I can't keep focus? Is because
Something. I don't know. I don't know. That's my guess.
I mean, the hot chocolate was good.
So the hot chocolate is good. So as part of our taste test, Jeffrey has picked up for us, and we're going to be having a little thing running for the 3 segments in December. And there will be 3 primary segments in December. We'll take off for the week of Christmas, and we'll be back right before New Year's for you all. So look forward to that. With that leading up to our 12 days of Christmas, and you may or may not have to listen to me sing in the process.
Yep.
Jeffrey has...
I found 9 Cocos of Grinchmas, and since the parade theme this year was supposed to be the Grinchmas theme, the parade did get rescheduled. Zach's asking for the date on that.
It is December 20th. It is a Friday, December 20th.
But what's really fun about the Cocos of Grinchmas, there's cinnamon, there's candy cane, hazelnut, caramel, milk chocolate, double chocolate, French vanilla, gingerbread, or toasted marshmallow. So those are our 9 flavors, and so each of us will have one of these to enjoy each week. Scott missed out today, but we'll make sure we saved him his hot chocolate from that still.
Yeah, and we'll make him drink 2 on air or something.
Yeah. Make him have to pee.
So... and it was kind of serendipitous for how you came about this. You were walking through the store and...
Yeah, so the Spirit Christmas, because we like Spirit Halloween, we're like, oh,
Of course you do.
I wonder
Decorating.
I was like, I wonder what's in here that's Halloween related still, because it is Spirit.
Right.
And sure enough, they have sections of Halloween Christmas decorations. It was really fun. But we took the kids in there, and this happened to be the only one on the shelf, and I was like, well, I guess I got to buy that. There was no price tag on it. I had no idea what it was until we got up to the register. So
it was like, well, it is what it is. That is awesome. I actually think it's kind of funny when we talk about decorating, we talk about costumes, we talk about that kind of stuff. Watching some older Christmas movies, especially ones that are geared towards, youth and young adults. It's amazing how interspersed some elements of spookiness are with the Christmas season.
Yeah.
Right. And it's fascinating to me how those kind of that close emotional piece, you kind of get spooky and kind of seasonally enjoyable in the same spirit of feeling. It's fascinating. Well, you look at the Christmas a Christmas Carol, right? Can be creepy for some people.
Oh, yeah.
But anyways, I had the hazelnut, and I love hazelnut. Love hazelnut coffee, and it's a flavor, so I gravitated to that immediately. And I chose so my mug of the day. Of course, if you know me, so my closest inner circle, I have one mug at home, which is an SFJ 4x4 mug, which I drank black coffee, only black coffee out of it. It is my black coffee mug, and I don't wash it ever. Adds to the flavor. Now, most people believe that's really gross, and it is.
Do you at least rinse it out?
I don't even rinse it out. Nope. The most it gets is if it's been a couple days, like maybe I've been out of town or something, I give it a good, if there's dust, if there's a little bit of something that's falling in, that's just building my antibodies.
Well, I think our listeners have all heard the stories of how you've been sick at many a show.
No.
Maybe there's a correlation.
No. All right, so that's my SFJ 4x4 one, and then my favorite mug here, my wife got me. It's not suitable for air, but that's that's my favorite mug for work. Today I chose to bring in Allegheny College mug, which kind of representing my alma mater there. My collegiate alma mater, my wife and I, we have matching mugs from there. We may or may not have legally procured in the process, and but don't worry, we paid really good money for them. So
Yeah.
So that was my hazelnut hot chocolate and Allegheny College mug. How about you, Jeffrey?
I went with the double chocolate today.
Yep.
Just followed down in line, and my mug is pink and black with spider webs all over it
Merry Christmas
because it's fun and festive.
with your gremlins. With your gremlins.
That's right. Don't worry, I've got a mug of choice for each week, so just like you do, it'll be fun.
And Scott, how about you and your lemonade there?
Oh, I have the Shakeology cup that my wife used for 3 seconds. That I now steal when I work out in the garage and I need my lemonade.
So,
I see.
Besides him having lemonade, why are we all drinking hot chocolate right now? What happened to our area that calls for a good glass of hot chocolate?
I mean,
Yeah.
it's sunny 75. There's palm trees. It's fine.
Well, that is why you're drinking lemonade, so you can pretend that's what's happening.
I love that so many of my acquaintances and customers who are south of, the proverbial Mason-Dixon and are just like, oh, it can't be that bad. Oh, like it's palm trees and sunshine here or whatever,
Just a few miles south of us are saying that. We only got like 6 inches over the course of the whole storm.
14 miles south of us didn't have any snow when we had 4 feet.
Yes.
I don't know about now, but 14 miles is all it had to go.
As mentioned, we are actually in our area in a what they consider to be a tier 3 weather conditions report or disaster, and then we are in a authentic state of emergency as declared by
a level 3 state of emergency.
Yes,
actually,
and that, as declared by the governor and local county officials and so on and so forth.
We can do something different on this podcast since I'm remote. You guys are tethered to the wall.
Yes,
I can actually take you guys possibly
field
trip from Scott's house. So for those of you who are listening at home who may not know exactly as Scott is transitioning and hopefully maintain signal, Scott is from his work is viewing from his metal shop.
We're gonna make him a little bit
there's the
bigger
36 Ford that
here.
you can see. He's kind of showing off his car that he often has shared about over the last couple of years. Scott's Metal Shop has been in a number of our YouTube videos and shorts and stuff like that. And again, they called schools off and
for tomorrow already.
Tomorrow because so many people are not able to even get out and unbury vehicles. So viewing out of Scott's location, what do you got there, bud?
There's a little bit of snow there.
So you
That's
see
like
that
shoulder
tree?
height.
That tree, right? Let's see. Where am I?
He would not make a good meteorologist.
Yes, that's
Love Scott's meteorology. Well, my left, my
that
right.
tree right there.
Is he flipping off the camera, folks?
That bottom branch is about even with the top of my daughter's head. So right now she's just swimming in snow.
Yes.
Mr. Frizzle, that's what your wife just commented. Mr. Frizzle from Magic School Bus.
See almost to the middle of the shed doors.
Yes.
That might be collapsing. It's fine.
Oh dear. That's fine, he says.
You can see the ticker table, and we'll go this way. And
there's a trash can. Everybody knows what a trash can looks like, and you can barely see just the top, 10 inches of it.
Yeah, it's something going on here. There's a lot of snow out here.
So, folks who are listening home or across the globe, honestly, what we have is a kind of a unique meteorological. Oh, Scott's rubbing off, man.
Wow.
Scott's rubbing off. We're having a weird weather based on the Great Lakes.
Good recovery.
No worries.
We have the mother lode of lake effect snow.
Yeah, and so a lot of people are kind of unaware. They kind of think, we're like you said, 14 miles. We're just not that far away. But what we get is a weather system that is specifically created east of the Great Lakes, typically speaking.
Yeah.
Typically, you're not getting that same weather system to the west of each Great Lake necessarily, because as the front moves across the lake, it picks up moisture and it mixes all up, and then it dumps south and east.
And with the lakes being a record warm temperature, this system coming across, it just allowed it to just absolutely dump snow on us. And honestly, the last time I've seen this much snow in such a short period would have been the Christmas of 2017 in Erie.
Right.
And to my understanding, this area didn't even get hit anywhere near as bad as Erie did during that storm.
Correct.
So it's a newer experience for this area to have that much snow that quick and just overwhelm emergency personnel, snow plows that can't keep up. And with holiday travel, there was a lot of people out and they got stuck and they made the situation worse and not even intentionally. It was a bad situation.
Yeah.
I've heard a lot of people, a little bit older than us, compare this to the blizzard of '78, which is like you grew up hearing about this storm that people had to shelter in place. Like they went to work, it happened, they stayed there for days. My dad told a story of where he plowed for 48 hours straight, never shut the truck off. Mm-hmm. So I hope we're done.
Right.
I am
wintered out already.
Oh, it's just the beginning.
I was going to say they're calling for snow the rest of the week here, but okay.
I will drink my lemonade and go to my happy place. Thank you.
So as far as this current situation, and I know Buffalo had a pretty extreme situation a couple of years ago,
yep.
and quite a few people. There was a number of people who passed away in that process. I have not heard necessarily of those distinct
I was
situations.
Say, in general, there have been quite a few scenarios where houses are collapsing from the weight of the snow. There have been vehicles trapped for more than 12 hours at a time with people in them. But overall, I have not heard the mass casualty like I have with past events of similar nature.
And that, I think, is really a great testament. I've seen a lot of people kind of frustrated, a lot of people, challenged by this moment. Now, as Jeep owners, let's be honest, there's a number of us who are either just kind of apathetic or unaffected, or B, kind of having a good time with it.
I was having a good time this morning.
And as far, was until you hit me. So, and of course, we're not supposed to necessarily be on the road except for very intentional purposes, right? And we've seen a number of people walking. They're traversing the city. We've had the CVS is maintained being open pretty decently. Local convenience store and a local gas station. Now, because workers are not able to get to their jobs, there have been weird hours of businesses being open and closed, which presents a challenge. It's not exactly predictable. And then when the workers are there, the phone's ringing off the hook because people want to know if they're open, but there might be just one person covering a shift.
Yep.
And so they're not able to answer the phone because they're doing other things. Now, what I was getting at was this is a testament to our to the people who are out there doing the plowing, who are doing the safety protocol, our first responders, our law enforcement, because to mention that there has not been those casualties that we have seen out of other similar scenarios is really awesome, right? And that's also because good neighbors.
And I want to clarify, we don't know the factual statistics.
Correct.
But the social media aspect is usually a buzz when these situations happen, and I have not seen that.
Right. And certainly a couple years ago, specifically in the Buffalo situation, there were quite a few casualties on the highway system.
Your wife just realized what we were talking about.
I'm trying not to read any comments from my wife in the process. The chaos coordinator is online today, and I'm trying not to let her bring her world into my world, which is already chaotic enough. So as far as, Buffalo and that scenario was concerned and its outlying areas, people were stranded for extended period of times. People were caught in blizzards on the highway and whatnot. They shut down the highways in this area. They were pretty proactive in their approach to not let this get any worse than it already was.
Well, yeah. 90 got shut down because of the pileup and all the people in the median. But
you're absolutely right. But there was one big accident versus allowing it to kind of continue to proliferate through the storm.
Yep.
You know, and so there's a number of interesting challenges there. the big thing is right now, and it is factual, that the National Guard is absolutely in Erie, Pennsylvania. They are helping do vehicle recovery. Now, the conversation is if they're going to be hauling out the snow and where is it going to go and how do we haul it.
And my understanding too is that they weren't only just helping people get out, they were helping people get to and from work for essential workers, hospital personnel, things like that.
Right.
So kudos to them being out in the cold for hours and hours dealing with that.
Right.
And helping people out.
And you know what? And another kind of a potentially what I'd like to call the heroic story, if you will. So we had some family friends, good mentor of mine, automotive mentor of mine when I was younger, come driving in from the Carolinas. They'd gone to Thanksgiving in the Carolinas, and they drove through not knowing what they were getting into. Again, if you're from the outside or the global listening community, it's so hard to really grasp what is happening because it's a pretty isolated event. It's from Cleveland to Buffalo, which are not hugely urban dense places.
Well, if you're listening to this, you're most likely a Jeeper or a Jeep enthusiast of some kind. And to put it into perspective, Saturday morning, trying to leave my driveway, I have a 3.5-inch lifted JT with 37-inch tires, and you couldn't see the hood of the Jeep.
Right.
It was that deep.
Yes. And
they can't keep up with that.
Correct.
Yeah,
and so
you can't expect them to.
54 inches to 56 inches in this general area. I guess just east of here and where I live is a little bit worse than actually where the shop is. Where what they're claiming, I don't know. I can attest that this is at least stomach deep for me, because when you step into it, you sink all the way to the bottom.
Yep.
I've heard about 2 people getting stuck out in their outside trying to clear off snow.
Mm-hmm.
One was stuck for 30 minutes. One was stuck for 45 minutes. Sadly, I had to rescue the 30-minute guy, which is how I know how deep the snow is.
Sure.
And that was about a foot ago. So,
well, yeah. And this is what I was kind of, going down this path of kind of heroic story about first responders. These friends came in from the Carolinas, not thinking it was as severe as it is. And they swung past the house. They said, "Hey, can you help us, shovel out so we can at least get in?" And they're older and they have some health issues at this point. I said, "Yeah, give me a second. We'll be over shortly." And so I got kind of all situated, and I headed over to help them. I turned the corner of their block, and there's an ambulance right in the middle of the road. And unfortunately, the husband of the couple had attempted to get into his house, but his house had been plowed in at that point in time. The driveway is inaccessible. And since, for folks at home, since we have nowhere to put the snow, they're basically taking a backhoe straight down the road. So they're 1-lane roads, despite the fact that they are actually 2-lane roads, but they're 1 lane because the backhoes or front loaders are just going down the middle because there's so much snow, there's nowhere to put it.
Well, that and the fact that they can only do little passes and then they have to dump the snow
because it's so wet and heavy. So long story short, the ambulance is sitting in the 1 lane, and come to find out, the husband had actually fallen twice, again, stuck to the point where he was kind of immobilized, and the neighbors ended up calling 911. So here we have the ambulance, which is not a Jeep, which is not a big 4x4. We're not, it's doing the best it can do. And they had gotten him up, and they were shoveling his steps at that point. And I just thought, God bless these individuals.
Yep.
Yeah.
Because that paramedic did not sign up to go shovel snow necessarily.
No.
I mean, ultimately, you signed up to be a first responder, and whatever that means, and we appreciate you for that. But here, his ability to help this couple was shoveling their stairs so the husband could get inside.
Yep.
Because he was stuck in between 4 or 5 feet of snow, couldn't go back to the car, couldn't go into the house, and easier to go in than back out, I guess.
Yep.
So kind of a big kudos to our first responders, our folks who are out shoveling, who are moving snow, who are the plow drivers. But again, I can't overstate how wet and heavy this snow is. Where the reports of plow trucks breaking, getting stuck
Off
themselves.
the road, even. And the crazy part is a lot of people don't understand that yesterday we had a nice little break in the snow. The sun came out, and that was actually worse.
Yes.
Because now the snow has the opportunity to settle in and become heavier than it was before.
Right.
Because the new snow fell on that. Now it's more packed. It makes it a big mess.
Yes. Now, Scott, are you prepared to share your lemons from the weekend with us at all?
I feel like the best thing you can do with bad things is to teach others from your unfortunate events. So that's how I've been figuring that's the best way to go is I didn't know what I didn't know until I knew it. And
Okay.
now
So
I
what do you know now?
So there is a very common building I've seen across the nation called the VersaTube building. They kind of, get you in that it's a cheaper price than building a lumber style building. Obviously, we've had lumber go up and down over the last probably 6 years. So cost has just been swinging wildly. And they can come and they can set it up in say about 2 days for a bigger building and about a day for a smaller building. So it's kind of this instant gratification. You pay your bill, you get put on a list, they show up, and poof, you have a building.
Mm-hmm.
When I went and ordered one of these, it was a 24 by 40. I was told that, oh yeah, they have to actually spec it a little bit better in your area because of the snow load. So you should be fine. And they offered plans and all that kind of stuff if you needed to. I kind of took the guy for his word, and again, didn't know what I didn't know. But I'd say about 2 days ago, I was out fighting, trying to get the driveway cleared because my wife works at a grocery store. So she has been doing her best to get in and out, back and forth to work, so that people that need essential items like milk and bread and stuff can get those. And my kids decided they wanted a sled, which completely understandable. Neither one of them has seen snow this deep ever.
Sure.
So we had to go out to the shed, and they're wading through the snow and they're full snowsuits and stuff. And I kind of, go back to check on them, and I look back to where my building is, and I realize that the wall is a good foot past where it should be on top and not on the bottom. So I kind of dealt with that sinking in, because out there is a lot of classic cars, camper, some vintage farm equipment. It's all stuff that I wanted to be protected and to be safe, which is why it was in a building. And the kids, we all went in, kind of dealt with the gravity of that, what we could have happen or not. And my 11-year-old son decided he wanted to do Indiana Jones and go out and get to the building, see how bad it is for dad. So he and his sister blazed the trail all the way out there, which I'm very thankful for. I could not have done that. Just going over to save the neighbor was about all I could do, trying to wade through that snow. And it was a lot shorter of a distance. So because of that, later I was able to kind of go out and follow their path and see how bad we are. Luckily, just by dumb luck, the way the building has failed, it has not injured almost any of the vehicles other than one. And it is one of the easier to repair. So I'm thankful for that. So I was looking at the glass half full. Yes, this sucks. Obviously, my building is done. There's no saving it, but at least most of the vehicles are okay, and the ones that is injured, I can fix. Which then, like I said, I've been trying to educate other people. I know there's at least 2 or 3 other people I know that have these buildings in this area, and so I kind of wanted to make sure that my friends and loved ones knew about the possibility of what this is happening, so that they don't incur this damage themselves. They can do something about it before it happens, get the snow off the roof, etc. And because of that, I had posted on Facebook, someone had said, hey, the snow's heavy, try to get it off your roofs if you can. And I was like, yes, that's exactly what you should do. This is what my experience has been. And kind of left it at that. Well, the next day, one of our customers had reacted to my comment, which I've had lots of outpouring of, sympathy and concern and wanting to help and all that kind of stuff, which I greatly appreciate. That's one of the great things about our Jeep community is when things go wrong, they're there to help and assist however they can. Sadly, right now, we can't do anything because it's
right. We're in a holding pattern.
50 inches of snow out there. So couldn't pull the vehicles out if I wanted to. But someone had posted a picture in that thread that said the toy box has collapsed. For those that don't know, my father has passed away for a number of years, and I had a kind of a surrogate dad that had actually lost his life earlier this year.
Just this year, absolutely.
And his building was called the Toy Box, and he has a vintage Studebaker enthusiast. And my stomach sank when I saw that. And it was a real fuzzy picture from across the street with some trees in the way. And so I'm like, I think this is what I think it is, but I'm not sure. So I contacted his family, sent them a screenshot of that picture, and the daughter confirmed that it was his building. Now we're talking a brick or a cement block building, wood timber roof, has been around for a number of years, was relatively good shape, and half of the building has collapsed at this point. I actually ventured out yesterday and took her to the building because she doesn't have a vehicle that could get there. It's off site from their house. So I actually had alerted them. They had no idea of the damage or anything that happened. And it is far worse there than it is at my house. They have multiple vehicles, multiple vintage vehicles damaged, and very heavy, big timbers and roof on top of them. So this is just kind of a not so feel sorry for me thing. It's more of a be aware that this is definitely something that can happen. It's not something that we have seen in our lifetimes this bad, and we have seen heavy snow before, but this was one of those extraordinary circumstances. I've actually been consulting with a friend in Maine, and obviously they deal with a lot of snow there, and he has been giving me some pointers and ideas. And what his recommendation is you should buy a roof rake, they call it, which is a pole and a piece of equipment on the end of it that you can then put up on the roof and drag snow off. It's a little safer than climbing on your roof with a shovel and trying to shove it off. And honestly, I didn't know I needed to have a roof rake in the back corner just in case. But, from this experience, I will tell you, I don't care if it's $50. That's a good investment if you get snow, because in this situation, it could be the difference between a mild $50 inconvenience to tens of thousands of dollars of damage. And at this point, my friends, they're looking at the building is probably much ready to get knocked down, and they have a minimum of 5 cars that now need very serious repairs. One may even be totaled at this point, which is a family heirloom vehicle. It's something you can't replace. And they thought they were safe. They thought, I've stored here before. We've had snow before. This is fine. This is not the case this year. So things can change in an instant. And when you can have a little bit of something in the back corner kind of as a safety precaution, I definitely think you should do that. Now, if you're a mad scientist, once you get told you need a roof rake and you can't go to the store, and you kind of figure that if they have them, they're probably all sold anyway, you make one. So that's what I did. And I've been working on dragging snow off my shop's roof and a little bit off the house as well. So
Yeah.
kind of a PSA on that.
Yeah.
Zach's in the comments saying an extra long painter's pole with a piece of plywood also works well.
Well, and our friend Zach there said it's called heart attack snow for a reason,
and it really is.
And that goes back to that wetness, that heaviness. If you're a person has not been highly physically active or has had a clean bill of health in a recent time frame, maybe this isn't the time that you need to go out and get really active shoveling snow.
No.
Even if you do, if you're going to try it, you do little bits at a time.
Yep. Take breaks.
Couple passes, if that. And
again, this is something that, we're not old. We're all pretty well healthy and physically able. And I kept finding myself getting so tired and worn out and short of breath out there shoveling and dealing with this stuff that I had to personally take a kind of a note and say, okay, you need to stop and take a breath and pace yourself. And maybe you can't get all of this that you want done this second. You need to go take a break. And that has helped immensely. Like just walking through this has been one of those things like, oh, I should be able to get back there. No, you got to stop a couple times, take a breath, and pace yourself.
Well, and then the other concern besides buildings collapsing is trees coming down and large branches breaking off from the weight of the snow.
Mm-hmm.
So that's always something to be mindful. If you have small kids, keep them away from the roofs of the house, because when that snow comes off, it's coming off hard and heavy.
Mm-hmm.
There's just lots of things.
And kind of the last PSA that I have that I've heard a number of people talking about, and ourselves were dealing with this, the furnace vents.
Oh, yeah.
And because of the snow overhangs as they come off the house and they slam to the ground and settle, you want to be really conscientious that your furnace vent is free to the ambient air, to the environment. Because I was talking with an individual this morning, and they were good. The heat was running when he woke up, and then, an hour or two later, he realized it was getting really cold in the house, and he was like, "What is going on?" And went down, checked on the furnace, and it wasn't working. Now, fortunately for him, his furnace had an auto shutdown, which many of the modern furnaces do, where that if the vent is plugged up and it cannot expel the exhaust fumes, it'll shut down the furnace so that we're not building up unnecessary carbon monoxide.
If your model doesn't include that, you're building up all that carbon monoxide, and you don't know. It is a silent killer.
Correct. And so these are the challenges, and we talked a little bit about those first responders, and we talked about the challenges, and so far we have not seen those casualties, but there's still a lot of people who are held up in their houses. Yesterday, my wife and I have been trying to go with our immediate neighbors and provide assistance. We went and plowed out somebody yesterday, and it was their first time since Thursday that they were able to go outside. They've just been held up in their house. So, Thursday they were outside. So Friday, Saturday, and yesterday was Sunday. They were 3 days held up inside. They can't even get their back door open to go out and get their shovel, So we'll see as this settles. Hopefully there will not be the monoxide, the heart attacks, and stuff like that, the house fires. But I guess this is that period of time where time will tell.
Yep. Yep.
Been an interesting thing. Now, to leave you with a little more lighthearted nature as we depart for the day, I think it is valuable to mention that my boots are $100 a couple years ago from Tractor Supply. They were the whole thermal inside slip-on good quality boots.
They slip-on.
They go up to my knee.
They were slip-on.
There is nothing that I'm going to do from keeping that snow from going down into my boot.
Do you not put
when you're
over your boots?
Trying to be a first responder and go save your neighbor in his backyard, and you have to wade through snow to your belly button, unless you have hip waders, You're going to put bags in your shoes. I don't give a crap. So I'm not here for Jeffrey.
I did this. I waded through the snow to help pull tree branches off of a garage.
I don't believe
Folks,
you.
if you're
2
not
yards.
on my Facebook page, you're going to want to head over there and jump
got
in on
boots.
You're going to want to jump in on the conversation about grocery bags, trash bags, Wonder Bread bags. What was your bag of choice for wrapping your feet?
I want to point out that my boots don't even go much past my ankle. They're not very tall boots. I've never got snow down in
Now,
these
there
boots.
has been a number of people who absolutely are elitists in claiming that with some appropriate footwear, your feet will not get wet. As a grown man who has enjoyed the snow for decades at this point, I've just always had wet, snowy feet, no matter what footwear, no matter how I wore my pants.
I grew up in the snow too. I never had the issue.
Clearly, I don't know how to use boots, folks. That's all I can figure out. As far as Jeffrey is concerned, I don't know how to use boots.
Now,
is my
I
thought
will
process.
say, if you are trying to recover a car out of a ditch and you step down in the water of the ditch, there's no stopping the water.
Yeah. I'm gonna just admit a little bit of a vulnerable piece, Jeffrey. Okay, I'm gonna admit a little bit of a vulnerable piece here on air, here for our global listeners. It only occurred to me at the end of the day yesterday that I should wear those pairs of pants, one that goes into the boot, and one that tightly fits on the outside of the boot.
Yes.
And I
It
thought
does help.
it does help. Scott is right. It does
makes a big
help.
difference.
It makes a big difference because as I was traversing, a number of situations where I had my pant leg down into my boot, it would just fill up with snow, and I was like, "This is why you wear bags,"
Oh, and once you do that, and the boots are wet, you're
I'm
bagging.
stuck, dude. I'm
Yeah.
stuck. I'm stuck. And so I Black Friday, I was out. And I was out and the snow was coming in, and I knew that I was unhappy with my boots last year. Like I said, they're a couple of years old at this point, and I really want a pair of Muck boots, like the brand Muck, right? And so I was like, you know what? I'm going to go to Tractor Supply. I'm going to take a gander at what they got going on. They didn't have a single men's 13 boot in stock.
Yep.
Period. Right? They had 12s and 11s all day long, and I thought, man, I'm just going to do it. I'm going to buy a 12. And then I thought, you know what? Again, let's go back to the stingy nature, the frugality. I was like, I could buy a $100 pair of boots that don't fit me really well, or I could just wrap them in some free grocery bags and shove my feet into my old boots for a little bit longer. And I chose the grocery bags.
Rob is saying $100 slip-on boots just aren't going to cut it. His hunting boots cost 3 times that for a reason. I need them to work all day. And these boots definitely cost more than $100 when I bought them. So,
see, look at you, gentlemen. I salute you for your appropriate investment in you and your comfort and your well-being.
I don't spend money on shoes unless I absolutely have to. And these, when I was doing security, I took the time and I invested in them because A, we had to have steel toe, so these are steel toe, and B, I needed warm, weather-tight boots, and that's what I did.
So
Well,
I
folks-
think the takeaway is that you and I are just cheap,
Yes.
and my boots are as old as at least my oldest child,
Yeah.
and I will continue to bag them and deal with it. And Jeff will have his fancy boots.
And dry, warm, appropriate feet.
These are about 6 years old now.
Folks, it's been a doozy from art of decorating to Snowmageddon
And now the
to
next part.
appropriate footwear. What's that?
Now the next part.
What's that? Oh, I was really trying to sign off.
I know you were.
I was really trying to
I'm
sign
not
off.
letting you sign off.
Oh, so if anybody is still with us, you are going to get the 12 days of Jeepmas, the first four lines, and this has not been rehearsrsed. I've not seen the
Honestly, I just had AI create them. I don't even know what's on there.
Jeffrey.
Jeffrey. What kind of production value is that, Jeffrey?
You know what's even better is I did
Are we singing backwards, forwards? What are we doing?
starting
here?
from the beginning and
Okay.
working your way through the first 4 verses. I did, however, because I cheated and used AI on that, I generated 3 or 4 and I picked the one that I liked the most without actually reading all of them.
So, folks, we don't even know what this is going to say.
And then I did spend a couple hours yesterday creating the music using MIDI and different instruments, and I actually created this music. So
This composition.
I composed this.
Last year or the year before, it was the worst composition of 12 Days of Christmas I've ever heard in my whole entire life.
I
folks.
think you're gonna like this one.
Okay. Okay. I think that our
doubt it.
listeners are not going to like any of it.
Well, you know.
But they're here to listen to me make a buffoon of myself. So
All right, here we go.
my wife said she wants to go to the store and go shopping for boots. She's the worst.
You're not singing.
Usually I get a little, like, usually there's a refrain or something. The first day Jeepmas my true love gave to me, a wrangler climbing rocks with glee. The Jeepmas my true love gave to me, 2 lockers locking and a wrangler climbing rocks with glee. On the 3rd day of Jeepmas my true love gave to me, 3 trail maps, 2 lockers locking, and a wrangler climbing rocks with glee. And not Jeffrey hitting my wife's Jeep. 4th day of Jeepmas my true love gave to me, 4 mudding tires so you get traction in the high snow, 3 trail maps so that you get lost. Don't get lost. Wrangler climbing rocks with glee. Woo, Scott, we're going to have our work cut out for us with Jeffrey's composition there.
Listen, that was a much better composition than last year.
It was. It actually sounded more like the song.
I know.
So I'm supporting you guys. So I got a rock with a Jeep. I got
He was drawing it
He
last
was
year.
drawing as I was singing.
Oh, that's
on
great.
that note, folks, it has been a doozy. We've got some work to do. We've got some digging out to do. We've got 3 solid weeks of work before we take off the week of Christmas. That's right. SFJ 4x4 for the first time in 12 years will be shut down for the entirety of the week of Christmas. It's kind of an interesting time when the holiday falls on a Wednesday in order to support our team and reward them for a really challenging year that we I believe did a very good job with when a lot of other folks are complaining and whining about the economy and other challenges and whatnot. We just kind of continue to live the Jeep life and grind away, build the podcast into one of the foremost listening experiences that you can have in the universe, as voted on by my mom. And we've done some great things. So we're going to reward the team by having off. So 3 solid weeks of work.
And
A week
if you
off.
have not joined Patreon, now is the time you want to, because the video evidence that I don't want to be in existence apparently is on Patreon right now.
Right now. And until then, Jeepmas script, snowball at Jeffrey, Jeep on.
That's fair.
Jeep on.